time in the University City. We welcome you in. This is Three Guys Before the Game, and have I ever said we got a good one for you?
Never.
First time I ever said that? Well, let me just tell you something. Oh, I got a dandy. I got a classic. I got a good one for you. Bill McKenzie is our guest on Three Guys Before the Game. Yes, that Bill McKenzie. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Jan Dills, attorneys at law. They won't take no for an answer. By Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Get yourself a GoMart rewards card. You can do that by going to the website, gomart.com, or just download the app. You immediately begin saving on food and fuel. Do it, and you'll be a happy person. Three Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. Some speculation that Bill McKenzie took a Lou Wendell boat up the Mon River to come into the stadium back in '75. The day hit. We're going to try to confirm that. Three Guys brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's biscuit. And by Conley's CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. All right, let's jump on in. Great to have you here with us. As you know, if you're a regular, during our summer season, we try to bring people together, names that we oftentimes talk about that we just don't have the time to get to when the football and basketball seasons are underway. And then when this time of the year comes, we go okay, now we can finally sit down with some folks and spend a considerable chunk of time with them just to kind of what's going on. Sometimes to confirm stories that, become sometimes urban legend, and we finally get them here and we say, okay, true or not true, we learn, right? And we are thrilled to have Bill McKenzie with us. I don't want to go over my skis here.
Which you're about to.
But I'm going to. I don't want to get over my skis. And Hoppy, I want you to kind of, you guys were basically in school together, you and Bill. But so I've been here for, this will be coming up 42 years. So I have had a rich, full dosage of Mountaineer sports and Mountaineer history. I, in my brain, think that your name is one of about 5 names in the history of West Virginia sports across the board that for whatever reason is just iconic. It's just it's going to be 50 years this year that you hit your field goal to beat Pitt, and yet for some reason it's 50 days ago, and people just go Bill McKenzie. It's a foundational pillar in West Virginia sports history. Agree, Hop?
No, absolutely. I think that's well said in that it is just synonymous with Mountaineer sports history, not just football history. And I was thinking coming in, because how many times, and it's great to see Bill in person, I look forward to hearing his stories, is how many times in my lifetime, because he and I are about the same age, I have referenced Bill McKenzie. I've only met him in person maybe once or twice, but It's just amazing, which is one of my questions I have for him, but I won't get to that. I don't want to bury the lead.
That's fine. Well, I think your question, my question are going to be kind of the same. Do you have any idea that exists?
Yes and no, I guess. We're in Arizona. We've been in Arizona for quite a long time, off and on probably for almost 20 years, full-time for about 7 or 8. So I don't get that much here.
Right.
The people out there have heard the stories, or they'll get on, I think it's YouTube, and they'll talk about it. And somebody will say, have you seen this? So I don't have a huge group of golfing guys, but there's probably 25 or 30 that at every time a new guy comes up, they're going to say, you have to see he's a legend in West Virginia. You have to see the YouTube video. So, I pick up a stray another following guy
Sure.
or following person, I guess, every couple months.
Yeah, you're kind of like the musician who, like, even though like they go back to your old stuff, like, well, I never knew that existed. That guy, like, and you just it keeps gaining. You just keep gaining. I mean,
Well, we still play the hit every night.
every
I mean,
single
that's
night.
part of it, too, right? How long have we had that open? 13,
Years.
14 years now?
Every
Yeah,
single
every
night on Sportsline, that's part of the opening of our for those. So there are obviously younger people that are watching, listening to this. So just in case you don't know the significance, this is to me is the marriage of two of the most iconic things in WV sports history. One, the voice of Jack Fleming and Bill's kick. He referenced YouTube, so it is available on YouTube. So if our producer Jake, if you would, buddy, fire that up. End of the West Virginia Pitt game, 1975. Roll that bean video.
4 seconds on a stop clock. Holy mackerel, can you believe this? Bill McKenzie is on. He is 2 for 5 in field goal. From the 28, it will be a 38-yard attempt. The snap, McKenzie kicks it. It is long enough. McKenzie kicks it. It is good. The ball game is over. McKenzie kicks a 38-yard field goal in the final play of the football game. There's a mob scene out on the field. The Mountaineer fans, what a mob scene. You haven't seen anything like it. Bill McKenzie kicks a 38-yard field goal on the final play of the football game. West Virginia moving the ball down to the Pitt 22.5-yard line on a pass to Randy Swinson. And then the field goal try by McKenzie. I can't believe it. McKenzie, the sophomore from Warwood, with the biggest kick of his young career.
All right, so there it is. A marriage made in football heaven.
Don't forget, and I'm sure Bill wouldn't either, about Greg Dorn, who was the snapper.
Absolutely.
And Tommy Lodeman.
And Tom Lodeman. Yes,
who was
sir.
the holder.
Yes, absolutely. And Tommy and I are on the bottom of that pile, just trying to breathe.
You've seen it countless times. You've heard it countless times. But when you watch it now, is it just?
It still gives me chicken skin. I got chicken skin right now.
You still do.
Still gives me chicken skin. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I can't believe it either. I know Jack Fleming. I would have loved to talk to him and say, what part of that didn't you believe? That I was going to make it, or that we came back, or what part of that didn't you believe? But yeah, no, I still get chicken skin.
Does it feel like it was 50 years ago? Does it feel like it was 10 years ago? What's the time frame when you see that?
It doesn't. It feels, well, again, I've seen it, and don't take us wrong. I mean, I've seen it a lot of times. Yeah. And especially as I was talking about my golfing buddies.
Sure.
You know, every time one of them brings it up, it's like, okay, I've seen it a lot. But it does seem not 50 yards, or not 50 years away.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, I want to read you from a story WV Athletics did in 2007 about it. Mountaineer coach Bobby Bowden was looking for some reassurance from Frank Nestor, a reliable kicker for Bowden for 2 years, who earlier was now serving as one of the assistants. Frank asked Bowden, "Can McKenzie make the kick?" "Well, coach," Nestor said, hedging his bets, "it's certainly within his range, but that's all I'm going to say."
Yeah, Frank was a great help. And I guess if you talk to some, I don't remember this, but if you talk to some of the other people, the practice before the game, I guess I was anything but good at field goals. So they were all probably, had their fingers crossed or closing their eyes or covered their head or something when that came up. But Frank was a big help.
When you look back, and I think what makes this story even better is when you start to dig back. You were not a high school kicker. You were a quarterback, defensive back, correct? You were known for those two positions.
Correct. Yes, but again, 1 year we ended up, I think, with 17 kids on our high school team. I think the most we ever had, we might have had 22 1 year.
At Warwood.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were obviously a small single A school. I think there was 102 in my graduating class. So you didn't have to be really good. You just had to be better than 16 other kids. It wasn't like I was this outstanding person. You could just throw better, I guess, than kick. We didn't. I remember one year, our first 3 games, we lost 29-0, 66-0, and 70-6. So when you say I kicked for the team, yeah, but if we scored a couple touchdowns a year, we were doing pretty good.
Yeah, and within 3 years, the school closes and it consolidates into Wheeling Park.
Into Wheeling Park, yeah. I graduated in 74. I think 76 was the last year of Warwood High, and 77, I believe, was the first year of Wheeling Park.
And think about this. So obviously, your name will forever be associated with that. Jack IDs you, right? Warwood, and then Chuck Howley, obviously, is a graduate of Warwood High School. He becomes an MVP in the Super Bowl. So
on a losing team.
On a losing team.
Pretty good
First
Warwood
time
run right there.
Yeah, that's kind of like, that defies the mathematical odds to have 2 things like that.
Yeah. Never met Chuck Howley.
Really?
They had a Chuck Howley Award they gave there for the last couple of years of Warwood, which I was fortunate enough to win my senior year, but Chuck never made it.
Sure. Growing up in the Panhandle was back in that day like what? Steel mills were cooking, right? It was going on there.
Yeah, steel, Wheeling, Pitt, and Weirton steel they were the big thing. There was a couple coal mines around, but the steel mills, that's where most of the folks were.
Growing up was like what for you? Was it was college always going to be an option for you? How did the whole association with WVU come about?
College always. Yeah, I guess I never really thought about not going to college. That was just one of those things. How WVU came around? Well, like I said, I was a reasonable athlete, I guess, football. I had a couple offers from small schools, West Liberty High School. I wrestled in high school too, and was pretty good, I guess. I had a couple offers to wrestle, Muskingum College, Bethany.
Mm-hmm. Right up the road.
College, right up West Liberty was right up the street too. And I don't know if I thought I could do better or what. And well, I guess one of the things that I think about it, I wanted to go into engineering, and none of those schools had a real engineering program. They had what you call pre-engineering. So you could go the first couple of years and get your math and science and that stuff out of the way, but you still had to transfer to go somewhere else anyway, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So we just went to Morgantown. Came to Morgantown,
and what were you led to believe about participating on the football program at that time?
Well, obviously I was a walk-on, but I don't really remember going in there the first day or talking to anybody about how do you walk on. I don't remember how that happened, but I do, and I guess you want to hear a story about how it all started. There was quite a few of us obviously walk on. When you're a walk on, they put masking tape on your helmet with your last name, and then when you go out on the field, the coach, whatever coach you were assigned to. And Clausing was the coach.
Chuck Clausing, right?
Was the coach. I was there. He had defensive ends, I believe it was. Defensive tackles, defensive ends. So the coach would grab you by the face mask and shake your head a little bit and say, okay, McKenzie, you go over there. Or, whatever your name was, you go over there. So I held tackling dummies for those guys for a couple weeks, I guess. Never even imagined that I would ever see the field. I honestly don't know what I was doing hanging around. I guess just something to do
after school. Yeah,
something to do after school. Yeah, and then one day Rocky Gianola broke his leg. Our one of the equipment managers, Mark Sobray, went to Warwood High School. I ran track with Mark Sobray, and he came and saw me one of those days in the locker room and said, "Bill, they're looking for kickers. Rocky their scholarship player." Broke his leg. They're looking for kickers. I know you used to kick in high school. I think they're having tryouts, pick a day of the week, Wednesday or something like that. So I said, well, okay. So I went in and kind of got in line with a bunch of other folks. Frank Nestor was there. I think we went out on the field after practice. And I don't know, half a dozen of us or so. And they put a ball down, and you're trying to kick. And I guess I did better than the rest of the kids were there. Frank, at the time, let me use his square-toed shoe. I had never even heard of a square-toed shoe.
So in high school, you didn't wear the square toe?
No, I didn't even know what they were.
And everybody was kicking straight on at this point? We have like
don't-
soccer style.
I
don't remember?
I don't remember. But anyway, Frank let me wear his square-toed shoe, and obviously that was a tremendous help.
A heck of a deal, right?
Yeah, that was a tremendous help.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Like I said, if that was a Wednesday, the very next day, say it was a Thursday, I'm trotting out there with the rest of the guys with, the masking tape on my head, and it's like, whoa, Bill, whoa, you go over there. No more tackling dummies for you. You're over here with the kickers. So that was my last tackling dummy holding day.
So you did your apprenticeship holding the dummies, and then you go over and you start to kick.
Yes. And then, again, obviously got to dress then. Had that not happened, there was no way I was ever going to dress for a football game. And then ended up kicking for the last 2 games of my freshman year. Believe it or not, kicked 5 extra points, made them all, and then started being the kicker again. They bought books for me the second semester of my freshman year.
Okay.
And then it was on scholarship starting sophomore, junior, senior.
So 75, you're on a scholarship.
Yes.
Were you sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, look what has happened? Or did you just day by day just moved on to the next thing? Did you ever take a moment and soak it in or no?
I don't think so.
No.
That doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah.
And again, I knew I'd come home less bruised.
Yeah. That was part of good
position.
Part of the deal.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild when you think about it in today's world. I mean, if a kid identifies as potentially a pretty good player, like by the time you were in 9th grade, you would have had a kicking coach. You would have gone to 7 kicking clinics, right?
Well, 9th grade, he would have been behind.
Yeah.
If that happened in 9th grade, he's already behind.
And it just
they start so early.
Yeah, and it just sounds like you just kind of wandered down and said, okay, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, again, this is 50 years ago.
Yeah,
too.
I understand.
They didn't have all that stuff.
I get it. So, you step on the field in 74, you're a true freshman. So you're a year removed from playing at Warwood, as you said, with about 20 dudes on your team. And here you are, you're playing major college football. Did that unnerve you at all, or just kind of like, What were you hearing from back home back then? That had to be a big deal that you got onto the field.
I honestly don't remember.
You mean you weren't getting cell phone calls at that time from
we didn't have cell phones. You might have got a few notes or a couple letters.
Yeah. Postcard. Bill, I hear things are going well down there.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So what was the program like back then? What was the feel inside the program? You had mentioned Clousing. You mentioned obviously Bobby Bowden. What was that like? For you to kind of get into that world and look around? Well,
again, being kickers, and nowadays, I don't know how much attention they get, but back then you were, I won't say an afterthought, but almost an afterthought. I mean, you didn't really go to the offensive meetings. You didn't go to the defensive meetings. They didn't have a kicker meeting.
Yeah, that's a good point. You did not have a kicker coach.
No. Chuck Clousing was the coach when I was a freshman. Was the coach, but he had defensive. I think he had linebackers and defensive ends.
Yeah, that was his deal.
No, Donnie Young, I think, had linebackers, but defensive tackle, defensive ends. I think he was a defensive coordinator, so he had other stuff to do.
And I've always found this wild, Bill, and to a large extent, it's pretty much the same. That we talk so much about offensive players and defensive players, and when they get recruited and everything And I still say to this day, specialists are not given the respect that they deserve for the absolute reason of what we just saw on that video. Like, you can do all of that stuff, but when the specialist comes out and wins a game or loses a game, I've always felt that there wasn't. I think it's getting better, but I know what you're saying. Like, you were like over in the corner and like, don't speak until spoken to.
Pretty much.
With no net to practice in.
Right. Oh, no. Well, we didn't have room on the sidelines for net anyway.
Well, that's right. I remember. Sure. Yeah. So you were just over there trying to...
Yeah, you sat on the bleachers and somebody tap you on the helmet. One of the fans would tap you on the helmet.
That was that was a good Pitt team.
Yeah.
And I know I've read some stories about, I had forgotten, I went back and read some of the stories, but of course it was a 14-14 tie, but as you often point out when you're interviewed, that the defense did a good job of forcing Pitt to a 3-and-out, right?
Yeah, well,
And they had Tony Dorsett, Matt Cavanaugh. That was a good team.
Yeah, no, and again, I know I'll tell this story till the day I die. If it wasn't for the defense, I think Pitt had the ball 1st and 10 with less than a minute to go. Who in the world would have ever believed we would have even gotten the ball back, let alone have 10 or 12 seconds or some time to do something.
I looked at the scoring drive
Maybe
today.
that's the part that Jack Fleming didn't believe.
No, because I looked at this. I think their possession was less than 60 seconds. They might have had the ball for 40 or 50 seconds on their last possession. And West Virginia's last possession, according to the stat, is 10 seconds. Was the total time.
And time for one pass. Yeah, Kendra to
Randy Swinson.
Randy Swinson.
Yeah.
Yep, one pass.
Who was clearly in bounds. We all know that.
You think, Hoppy, in nowadays video, that might have been ruled out of bounds?
Well, now the statute of limitations is passed. But that does bring you to my story that I'll tell. I was at the game. I'm about the same age. I was at school the same time as you were. And I lived just up the street of McLean Avenue, so we walked down the old stadium. And it was college days. I had a terrible hangover. So we're sitting there, me and my boys, about 5 of us sitting there. And when Pitt got the ball back and they go 3-and-out, and it's going to end in a tie, 14-14. And that game was on television. That game was on TV.
Keith Jackson.
Keith Jackson, Jim Lampley was on the sideline.
Which was really rare.
For
West Virginia. West Virginia, yeah.
Never happened. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, this thing's going to end in a tie. Let's just go home and let's walk up there to the house and watch the end.
Why are we not surprised by this, Brad? Why are we not
Wanted
surprised?
To bail from an event early.
Yeah, imagine that. You had somewhere to go, nowhere.
So I was going to bail. I was going to leave. And all my boys said, no, we're staying.
Oh, you were saved.
I was saved.
You were saved there.
I was saved. I
Did you rush the field?
Huh?
Did you rush the field?
Oh, yeah, everybody did.
Were you on that pile?
I was not on the pile, but I was on the field. And then, again, it turned into an all-night thing. You probably had somewhere to go, but it turned into an all-night thing in Sunnyside. It was one of the first Sunnyside excessive party celebrations that we were part of.
Was there some
couch burning?
Was some burning going on?
A lot of things were burning. But it was, again, in my history with Mountaineer sports, that's my moment, man.
You've seen a lot, man. You've seen a lot of big moments.
Yeah, it was right there.
Those piles give me anxiety. You said you were on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Were
Luke and I kind of looking at each
down
other.
There? Were you panicking a little
We
bit?
were just hoping to.
That's
it's
a lot
kind of like
going
a
on.
snake. You've heard about boa constrictors.
Yeah.
You lose a breath and then you just keep losing. That's what we were trying to keep our lungs inflated so we didn't.
And you have the ball, correct?
Pardon?
You have the ball.
I do. Yes, I do.
Tell that story.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Nice. That's a good one to walk out of the
Someone
ball.
caught it, right? And make sure they got it to you.
Bernie Kirshner.
Bernie Kirshner.
Yes.
And what was he doing in the stands?
I have no idea.
He was.
I know he was on double secret probation there at one time.
Yes.
What's the story?
He was on double
secret
secret probation.
Yeah.
And he was.
I'm not exactly sure what he did, but he was on. Yeah.
So he was at times in the doghouse with Coach Bowden, and he was in the bowl. But
That's a great job by him.
Yeah.
He
it was.
caught the ball and then got it to you.
Tell the story,
That's
Bill.
Well,
huge.
from what I understand, he didn't readily give the ball up. He took off up Sunnyside with it. And the managers had to chase him down and offer him a different one.
Imagine that. They were bummed out that they lost the ball.
I know.
They had
That's
to go.
a great move by him, though, to avoid the rush.
Sure.
And get the football safe.
Yeah.
And give it to Bill.
Yep.
Still has it.
Yep. I do still have it.
How about that? Is that
Bernie's, I think he has a restaurant or a bar down in Florida.
Down in Florida.
Yeah.
And I, believe it or not, still owe him $200 from some long time ago. I keep telling him I'm coming down there one of these days, but I haven't made it yet. I didn't forget.
Did you have any idea when you kicked that ball and the game's over that afternoon, the significance that it would have?
No, I don't know that anybody could have thought about that. No, not a chance.
When did it dawn on you that was? I was thinking coming in. Let me ask you this: that you've been asked about this over or under 2,500 times.
Easy.
Oh, over.
Oh, yeah.
Over.
Bet the over.
Over or under 5,000 times.
Over.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but I don't. It's a lot. It's a lot of time.
You're obviously in excellent health, and I don't want to bum you out, but it's the first line of your obituary.
Huh?
At WV Athletics, when
Well, don't.
when
I mean, I don't know why you got to put the guy in the
Yeah,
ground.
don't be pushing that.
I mean,
yet.
I know why you're sending that agenda over there. I mean, where'd that come from? Huh? Brad,
it came.
Well, I understand what you're saying.
Identifying a defining moment in
it will
somebody's
always
life.
define him. It will always define him. It will.
And there's a lot of other things, I'm sure, as a decent human being that define him. But in terms of WVU sports,
Sure.
That's the definition.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to write your obit.
Well, I say I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, that's in there. That's in there. You know what? Also, we were talking earlier before we started recording about how time, goes by and things like that. The thing that hit me, I was thinking about this. That game, that kick, that was only 5 years before Don Nehlen became the head coach. Yeah. But for some reason, to me, it seems like it was like generations earlier. Think about that. Yeah. It seems like generations. It was 5 years. Now, let me tell you this. You want to get scared? You want to feel old? I'll make you feel old.
Well, you guys are a real joy.
Yeah.
But
right, Bill?
When can I come back?
Conversation back sometime.
Think about
Great
this
for
one.
our guest list here.
Think
You
about this
too.
one. So we're here today, and it's 2025, and we're talking about a game in 1975, which makes it 50 years ago. If you were in 1975, if you were sitting around with your boys talking about a game that was 50 years earlier at West Virginia, it would be the 1925 game.
Yeah.
Now, if that doesn't make you go, whoa, what is up with that?
And I do.
And we sit around here talking like it happened last week.
Yeah.
And I do think, based on that, Bill, that I've told a bunch of people, I said, I'm excited we're going to talk to Bill McKenzie. And there is a younger generation, even of Mountaineer fans, that don't know. Okay? I mean, people who know the program intimately know it, Brad, but there is a generation, like if somebody, when I was in school and somebody started telling me about Rat Rogers, like I wouldn't have any idea. Like Mickey Fafari's telling stories about Rat Rogers.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yep.
You remember Mickey?
Oh, yeah.
And Mickey used to tell us like these stories, and like we would look at him like sideways, going like, Mickey, like I don't, the Sun Bowl 19. No. And we would look at him like it was 200 years ago. Like Ben Franklin was in the stands, and now we're sitting here and we're talking about 50 years ago, like it was last week.
Yeah.
Bill, you said you had no idea what that moment would become. How about Bobby Bowden? Any inkling that he would go on to become who he was in the world of college football?
Good question.
I don't know how to answer that one. No, but he was a great guy. But again, I never really had that much to do with him. Again, being a kicker, I mean, even the kicking coach, you only saw two periods at the end of practice.
Yeah.
So the story, I don't doubt any of the stories about how nice a guy. I mean, every time I ever met him, ever talked to him, he was just as nice as could be. He sent me a letter. I wrote him. I had a picture of the Pitt game and asked if he would sign it. I sent it to his company or whatever. He wrote me this really nice long letter about how you doing. He knew where I grew up. He knew my mom and dad.
Sure.
Really?
I mean, it was unbelievable.
That had to feel a little surreal, though, as you were watching him go through Florida State and win national titles, be in the mix for national titles. Was it just odd to see him there, knowing he was your coach, knowing you did have some interaction? Or did you not really ever think about it in those terms?
No, not really. The only thing I can think, every time he was up for national champions, it's like, I know that guy right there. I mean, I got a letter from him right here. I mean, I know that guy.
I once made an afternoon for
Yeah.
him. Yeah, I once made his afternoon.
Yeah. Pretty good day for Coach Bowden there that day.
But you can almost in my picture, and I know how they like kickers, like we said earlier. Kickers were just they're different. They're just around. When you need them, you call them like, boy, I'm going to tell you something. That was a good job. And give you a tap on the head and see you later. That was it. That was the extent of it.
Yeah.
Good job. We appreciate it. Bye.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you even see that today. They're even today when the coaches are around. They're talking to the players. They're arguing about this or that or whatever. They score a touchdown. He turns around, and puts one finger up. That's the only interaction they ever had with that kicker. I mean, that's it.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Three guys before the game is brought to us by the good friends at Gomart. I mention this all the time. You got to get that GoMart app. Just put it on your phone. Brad has it. I have it. Hit the road with GoMart because you immediately begin saving on food and fuel. And, I clicked on here recently, and now they got 20 cents off a gallon of gas. All you got to do is for free play a video game on the app, and you get 20. Bill, that's a hell of a deal. All you got to do is play a video game on a phone. You get 20 cents off a gallon. I mean, 10 gallons. I mean, you're an engineer. 10 gallons, that's $2. 20 gallons, that'd be $4.
Super easy to use. Was just there the other day getting gas.
Were you nice to the people this time?
I didn't go inside. Just got gas.
He has a problem. He just goes in there and starts yelling at
Tony, why do you say that?
he went in. You
total
remember
mischaracterization.
No, I didn't
I walk in and I ask for help. That's what you're supposed to do. And they help. They're very nice.
Yeah, that's
one
okay.
of them, Postal Plaza there. That's right.
Yeah,
Postal Service.
Perfectly okay.
That's what you do.
They got
you ask for help.
They got a restaurant attached to them over there, don't they, Brad?
Yeah, Burger King on that one.
Yeah, on the left side there. I think with the BK. Also, 3 guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems. When it comes to Comax,
mischaracterized.
I don't know why he does that.
I didn't mean it in a negative way. You just walk in there and go, "Where's the Snickers? Where's the Reese's? Where's the?" That's what I'm saying that you did. Right, the donuts. The donuts. You like those donuts?
I've never even heard of a donut. I'm guessing that's a little donut.
That's exactly. See? Thank you very much. Like a deer dough. Anyway.
Perfect name. You knew exactly what they were.
3 guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems. They're refreshing offices across the state of West Virginia and beyond. Stop hauling around those big bottles of water or plastic bottles. You don't need it. Put a water system in, cold water, hot water, ice. They got it for you. Visit ComaxWV.com. That's ComaxWV.com. So you come to school here, and you get into the engineering program. Again, small school, high school-wise. Academically, did you get right in? Adjust really pretty good? How'd that go?
Chemistry gave me problems. But, no, I high school, I really didn't do all that much studying. I mean, I won't say it came naturally, but it wasn't something that I really need to kill myself studying.
You were pretty smart.
When you get to college, it's a little different atmosphere, or a lot different atmosphere, I guess. So yeah, I did okay. I graduated.
Why engineering?
Just something I've always wanted to be. I have no idea. I don't know any. It's not like my family was engineers. Right. I don't know. Just something I just always wanted to be.
Did you have, when I came up here, I was overwhelmed because I came from a small town like you. I was overwhelmed by the size and the number of people. It took me a while. Did you struggle with that at all? Yeah.
I mean, how many people in class? And they didn't care if you had a question or not because there were so many people in there. And then having to, I'm used to the high school was, again, for 100 kids in your class, you didn't need very big. You walked across a hall maybe for another class. Here you got to get on a bus or the PRT or.
Back then, that's when the PRT was new.
Yeah.
Right?
It only worked. That was the best excuse. All you had to do is say the PRT was down. That was an easy one. Of course, they didn't care. They kept the lessons going. So
did you have any point where you thought like, this isn't for me, I'm going home? I did. I mean, I stuck it out. But did you?
I probably had several of them. None come to mind.
Yeah.
Probably.
If you didn't become a kicker, would you have held the bags and practiced for a long time? You would have walked.
I probably would have walked. I guess. Again, I was used to being in the mix of that. Again,
you were a dude
with small school,
captain of the wrestling team.
You were used to being in the mix with things, and I don't know how much longer I would have held tackling dummies.
You know how many how many points had to be connected for all this to happen? We're talking about
100%.
One of the seminal moments in sports history, and how many, and hearing Bill's stories, how many of these things, Brad, had to happen for it to happen,
or how easily it could have not happened. It probably shouldn't have happened. Quite frankly, is a better way to say that. Of all the things that had to happen to make it come to fruition, it probably should have never happened.
Right.
I think I can go on record and say this. Greatest thing that ever happened to you in your life is Rocky Gianola broke his leg. There, I said it, Rocky.
Yeah,
I said it, Rocky.
Rock, we love you.
Yeah, thanks.
Love you, Rocky.
Thanks, Rock.
Yeah. But think about that. If Rocky Gianola doesn't break his leg,
there's a million things
you don't
like
get a chance.
To start there. That's one of the long list. Yeah.
Although they did, and again, sorry, Rock, but they did put Rocky in to kick before it was my turn. After Emil Ross, they put Rocky in.
Okay.
And I don't exactly remember, but obviously that didn't go very well. So I was the third option at kicking that year.
Wow.
Also I looked into this today. You won a game technically before you won the Pitt game. Virginia Tech, you hit a field goal and gave West Virginia a 3-point lead, and you won the game.
Yeah, and I have the ball for the game ball for that one too, and that one just doesn't feel. Well, that one just doesn't feel the same.
Well,
I think it was but I think it was in a third quarter or something, and we happened to win by 3. So I don't.
10-7 over Virginia Tech.
It wasn't a walk-off here.
No, it was not. No, I mean it's. Glad I got it. Glad we did it, but it's not like a Pitt game or a Richmond game. I actually kicked one to beat Richmond one year too.
Any win back in the day over VPI.
Yeah, in ninth grade freshman basketball, I scored a bucket in the second quarter, and we won 47-46. So I always say I had the game-winning bucket. Without my 2, they're not winning, so I'd take it. So,
Yeah.
But that did kind of make me go like, oh, wow, I didn't realize you had hit one. So help me here. Someone told me that you guys either weren't attempting a lot of field goals that year, but like West Virginia was one of the last teams in the country that season to make a field goal in a game.
Yes, that is correct.
Wow.
We were good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we won.
You won 9 games.
Most of our games, without even having to kick a field goal.
Yeah. And you guys went on beating at North Carolina State.
Yes.
That season.
Peach Bowl.
Peach Bowl ended with a victory.
Yeah. And that 13-10, that sounds like I made a field goal. I did not.
You missed an extra point.
I missed my first extra point. Yes. So that's why it's 13-10. I did not make a field goal.
Just go with it. But listen, when you get back to the golf club, just go like, yeah, it was another one I won. It was a lot of person. 10-10, I went in there. It was like half a second or something left. I just banged one. Just won the game.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you're relatively young. You're a sophomore when you kick when you make the kick against Pitt.
Yes.
And I said, do you have any idea that night how significant that was? You go, nah, probably not. But like junior year, senior year, had the mythical Bill McKenzie legend. Did it last? Or did you feel it then, or was it years? It just grew over years.
I think it grew over years. I mean, it obviously escalated pretty quickly that next year, but no, it kind of just grew over the years.
Yeah. I think Jack Fleming's voice on it, and then YouTube, and the fact that the highlights out there, because there's so many plays that aren't out there from that era.
Yeah.
But that one being captured, as you said, it was on big boy television. Mm-hmm. Frank Broyles and Keith Jackson did the game, and as you said, Jim Lampley was the sideline reporter. Now that's a crew.
It
is.
It was the A crew.
Yeah. It was a regional game.
Oh,
but
it was?
It was. But it was the A crew.
Okay.
That did the game, and so like, I think like for generations, if that doesn't exist, just that clip, it probably just kind of goes away. But that will always have it living on.
So.
Oh yeah. No, like Hop said. I mean, there's so many stars had to align. Same thing. If that wasn't on TV, this wouldn't be near the big deal either.
But Bill, you did have a life after the field goal. So you became an engineer. Tell us what you did after that, after you graduated.
Well, right after graduation, started work at Weirton Steel started as a management trainee, ended up being a mechanical supervisor in what was the Blooming Mill back then, which doesn't exist anymore. Was there I started there in 78. So in 86, I left there and went to Nucor Steel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Down in as a project engineer, Nucor Steel down in Darlington, South Carolina. Excuse me. We were working on a new project called thin slab casting, which at the time no one had ever even heard of. A lot of folks had tried, or a lot of companies had tried it. U.S. Steel, Bethlehem, a lot of those folks tried it. They just could never get it working. Well, we got it working.
Okay. Explain to me like I'm a fifth grader. What thin slab?
Well, again, in steel making, when they cast slabs, they take the molten metal, they cast them into slabs, what they call slabs, and these are anywhere between 8, 9, 10 inches thick.
Regular,
and then,
full steel,
and then they roll them. They run them through the roller mill,
right,
and just make them from 8 inches to 6 to 4 to 2 to 1 to as thin as your car is now.
Cold rolled strip steel.
No, this is hot. This is hot. Hot rolled from
okay.
making it from 8 down to next to nothing. Then they cold roll it afterwards. But that would take, millions and millions of dollars. I can't think of how many stands, rolling stands you had to go through to get from 12 inches or 10 inches down to a 1/4 inch so they could run it over to the cold mill. Well, we at Nucor, and everybody was trying to do this, what they called thin slab casting, we actually cast the slab at 2 inches thick.
Took away a lot of time.
So it took away so much time, so much energy, so much equipment. Now it only takes one set of stands. Well, I think we had 4 mill stands to take it from 2 inches to a 1/4 inch instead of hundreds of millions of dollars that most of the steel companies had at the time. So we started the first one of those out in Crawfordsville, Indiana. So I moved to Indiana in, that would have been 88, or January of 88. We got that one working for News Corps. And then after that one was successful, they built another one down in Arkansas. So I moved to Arkansas with the second one, and now thin slab casters are kind of all over the place. But back in 88, that was the first.
So you guys revolutionized the industry.
Yes, that was the first one ever anywhere.
So you spent your life in the steel industry and then retired?
Spent my life in the steel. Well, again, went from Nucor in Arkansas. Then we took a short hiatus, came back to Ravenswood, West Virginia, in the aluminum business.
Sure.
Worked for Passionate Aluminum.
Yeah.
And we thought it was myself. Well, my boss was Rodney Mott, and he still lives in South Carolina. I'll get to that story in a minute. We moved up here, thought we could try the Nucor method, which was push all of the what am I trying to say? Responsibility down to the people running a machine. Who knows better how to run a machine than the guy running the machine?
Right.
You don't have bosses and all these, layers of management and stuff trying to do that. Well, we lasted about 1.5 years in Ravenswood, and they didn't care for that method. they just the Ravenswood Union and Passionate, the French company, that was like oil and water. So
the home of the running Red Devils ran you out.
We lasted about 1.5 years, and they, actually let me go. Well, let both of us go, I guess, which was the best thing that ever happened. And if you don't mind me continuing.
Hey, roll, buddy.
Yeah.
This was, it was like January 31st. I remember it like it was yesterday. And January 31st in West Virginia, I went home, I got a beer, and I'm standing out on the back porch. My wife says, what's wrong? Well, January 31st is not the time of West Virginia you sit on your back porch and drink a beer. She said, what's wrong? I said, I just got let go from Ravenswood. I just got let go. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no clue. So on February 4th, this is 2 weeks later, after I'm stumbling around figuring out what the hell am I going to do now, thinking about writing resumes and all this stuff. Rodney Mott, who I just mentioned, he lived right next door. Well, cattywampus from us. And he says, hey, I want to meet you down here at the country club. He says, I got something you might be interested. So he goes down there, we meet. He says, there's this guy named Wilbur Ross who is working on buying a steel mill, LTV in Cleveland.
Okay.
It was shut down. He said he's working on trying to get some folks together. He says, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but would you be interested in coming up and, seeing what you could do? I might send you to Chicago. I might send you to Philadelphia to look at equipment. He says, I don't know. Just keep your receipts. This may or may not work.
Keep your receipts.
Well, for expenses. He says, keep your receipts. This may or may not work.
Yeah.
And that was February. So I think it was probably April that, again, I kept receipts. I might have had $400, $500 worth of receipts or something like that. I get a check from Wilbur Ross for $10,000. You think this will cover it? This is going to work. So we all went to Cleveland at the time, got LTV started up, then started buying other steel mills.
Right.
We went from Cleveland, I don't know the exact order here. We bought Cleveland, LTV, we bought Bethlehem, Inland, Acme, Georgetown, Weirton. We at the time, ISG, we named it International Steel Group. At the time was the biggest steel mill in the country. We were bigger than U.S. Steel.
Wow.
And with me, I guess I was the down home kind of guy. I guess I was the one
Feet on the ground.
that they would send in first to do the union negotiations, and I was the regular guy from down the street, so I could talk to the unions. And so I started at Warren, Ohio, in a Coke plant. Was there about 9 months when we bought Bethlehem. I went to Coatesville, the plate Lucan's, what was the old Lucan's mill in Philadelphia. Was there for about 1.5 years, and we bought Weirton Steel. So they took me from there, sent me to Weirton Steel for about 1.5 years. We sold ISG to Middle. This was in 05, somewhere in 05.
Is that a public transaction?
Yes.
What was the number on that?
$4 billion, I think.
Yeah, not a bad day.
I think it was $4 billion. Anyway, I thought I wasn't ready to. I was 48 years old. I wasn't ready to retire. Rod and a couple of the other folks left. I said, no, it's Weirton Steel. I've been to Weirton Steel before. I'm going to hang on here for a little bit. I lasted about 2 months and said, they don't like the way I'm operating. I don't like the way they're operating. So I retired.
Wow.
September, that would have been 05, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome.
And let me tell you, for those of you that are thinking about retiring, it's the easiest job in the world.
He just did.
I mean, you just don't go to work the next day. It's the easiest thing in the world, but don't do it without a plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just up and didn't go to work the next day without a plan. Had no idea what to do.
Drove you crazy.
Drove my wife crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
She actually, and I don't know if this is true, she says she called Rodney Mott after a couple months and said, Rod, find this guy something to do. He's driving me crazy.
Yeah.
So in February of 06, Stelco called Rodney and said, hey, we saw what you did with ISG with all those other mills. We'd like you to come up to Stelco and do the same thing. So I was retired for about 6 months, maybe 8 months, went back to work again in Hamilton, Ontario, up with Stelco. And we kind of did the same thing. We were there about 1.5 years, kind of got it turned around a little bit, sold it to U.S. Steel. And that's what I said. My last working day was Halloween of 07.
He's a steel industry turnaround specialist.
Yeah. Well,
That's what he is.
so how many moves? So have you ever counted how many moves? That sounded like a bunch of moves. That's like 6 to 9 moves.
Well, yeah, and my wife never did. My wife and kids did not go the last couple times.
Right.
But I guess I went from from West Virginia to South Carolina to Indiana to Arkansas
That's 4,
to West Virginia
5,
to Ohio
6,
to Pennsylvania, back to West Virginia,
8,
then to Canada,
9.
and then now we're in Arizona. So
And it surprised me. We talked or texted recently. You've got 2 kids that live here in West Virginia.
I do. My
Yeah.
daughter Lauren actually works for the university. Some kind of she's a vet tech, and apologize, Lauren, but something to do with animal research.
Yeah.
And my son John is a police officer in Wheeling. Well, actually, he's a what they call canine handler.
Oh yeah.
He has one of the dogs in Wheeling.
Yeah.
You still have folks back in Wheeling area?
Well, my brother still lives there. I have a couple cousins that live there. Mom and dad passed several years ago.
Yeah.
What did your dad do? Did he work in a steel mill?
No, he was he sold trucks. He was a general manager of Wheeling White Truck.
Where'd you live? Where'd you live in Warwood?
Clearview,
Okay.
up on the hill,
All right.
up close to Ogilvy Park.
Yeah, sure,
Oh, yeah.
sure.
Absolutely. So that's a good story. So I never knew the background. I knew you were in engineering, but I didn't know how many pops you had to get to.
Yep, no, quite a few. Like I say, my wife and kids, they couldn't.
Yeah.
We didn't realize it was going to go that fast. I mean, you buy a new steel company every year. We didn't realize it was going to go that fast. But thankfully, she did not try to move, or she'd have been wore out.
Well, help him because he retired. I don't know how long has it been now. He's semi-retired. You got any words of wisdom for him?
Again, have a plan.
Well, he got planned.
And don't retire in the winter in West Virginia.
That's exactly what I did.
That's where it
There's
all.
not much to do.
No, I'm adjusting. So, Tony, let's go the rifle route.
That's where I was going to go.
Go
So
ahead.
you're wearing the Mountaineer rifle hat, the national champion Mountaineer riflers. You know what? I met the young lady who was West Virginia's last shooter to win the national championship. And basically, I don't know if enough people know the story yet, but in essence, it was similar to what you did. It was a walk-off win, and she had 3 shots, and she didn't realize what she had to do, but had she shot 2 9s instead of, she went 9 10 10. If she would have gone 9 9 10, West Virginia doesn't win the world championship. And she goes 9 10 10 on her last ever shot as a shooter, because she's not going to go under the Olympics. Yep. And so that was a walk-off national championship.
Well, that was unbelievable. Again, we were there. That was down in Lexington. And there's another comeback story for you. I mean, they were third after in rifle, they have small. I'm not telling you guys something you know. They have small bore, what they call small bore, which is 22s, and then they have air rifle, which is essentially pellet guns. So they shoot both. They have a morning and an afternoon session for each. So after the first session, the small bore, they were in third place by, I don't remember exactly how many points, 10 or 12 or something like that. But 10 points in a rifle match is a lot. It's a lot. And then after the first round of air rifle, they're in second place. And this girl, God, I apologize. I cannot think of her name off the top of my head.
Natalie.
Yeah. But she is, not only was her last shot, she was the last person. You shoot at your own pace. They have 25 or 30 of them up there, and some of them shoot in. You remember Etzel? I don't know if you ever read the thing about Etzel.
We know Ed very well. Yeah.
He'd shoot 500 shots in 10 minutes. Some of them take it down to the very last one. Well, she not only was it her last shot, she was the last person standing in the line. So this is the last day, the last afternoon, the last thing. She's the last person at the line. She needs to hit a 10 to win, and she hit a 10.1.
Wow. Natalie Perrin is her name.
Unbelievable.
Very McKenzie-esque finish on that, wasn't it, Brian?
Unbelievable.
What got you into rifle? You're a huge supporter.
The earliest I can remember is Ben Murray, who now's head of the Mountaineer Athletic Club. Sure. He came, this has been, quite a few years ago, I guess, and said that the rifle team had just won a championship, and I don't know how many years ago that was, and they were looking for someone to help finance or help buy rings for them. And they said it was going to be something like $6,000 or $7,000, $8,000, something like that. Mm-hmm. Would you be interested? And I said, Ben, not only am I interested, you don't need to look for anybody else. We'll do it.
Take care of it.
Consider us, we're the ring people. We'll do it.
we're the ring people. Yeah.
We'll do it. So little did I know they were going to win 3 in a row. But we have, and again, I don't know how many years ago, but so far, since then, we've been the ring people. So we bought, every time they win an NC championship, we buy the rings for them.
Yeah. Do you hunt? Do you shoot? What's your...
I shoot, again, used to do hunt. Nobody in West Virginia, everybody in West Virginia has to hunt of some type.
Right.
But I shoot now. It's pistol shooting. We have belong to Scottsdale Gun Club out there. They got an indoor range. Mm-hmm. So I shoot. I try to go every Monday. I don't make it every Monday, but it's pistol shooting.
Tony is an excellent hunter.
Bill, can I tell you my hunting story? So these guys on this show attacked me. Really unfair. I said if I shoot something, I want an animal that could hurt me. I want it to run at me, right? So I said
first fail.
Important.
So I said
story.
like a deer's never going to take a run at you. I need something bigger. I said, how about like a boar, right? So these guys laugh at me and they say, a boar would go right after your leg, they kill you. I say, okay, fine. They said, well, you've never shot before. You've never, what would you do? And I said, well, they got those scopes they put on those guns. I said, I just line that thing up, put it right there, right? Put it in the crosshairs, let her go. So these guys laughing. So this guy's listening. He says, come on down here. We'll go. Go down to southern West Virginia. Go out there. The guy gives me a lesson. Says, okay, here it is. Shot twice at a target. First one might have been a little off. Second one, he goes, boom, you got it. Okay, fine. We go out there, hunt this boar down. Ferocious beast. We start following it, and I'm walking, and I see it, And I said, okay. And they said, okay, man, this is it. I lined that thing up and absolutely torched it. Blew it up.
How
Brad.
fast do you think it was running at you when you knocked it down? It's hard. I know it's
It is.
hard.
It's
to
hard
tell.
to tell, but
You're looking through a scope. It's coming fast. Ballpark miles per hour. How fast do you think it was running?
It wasn't running at me.
It was not running.
It was not running?
Correct.
So it couldn't have done you any harm like you originally set out.
Had he seen me, and I think Bill would probably know, had he seen me, he's coming at me.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Yeah. It was
Not at that
Now,
moment.
have we confirmed, was the boar alive when you shot it?
The boar was alive.
We,
It's on
we know
video.
that for
It's
sure.
It's on video.
Tusks?
Oh, yeah. I'll show you the picture before
Bill,
we
it was
get there.
sleeping at
It
best,
was
might have been
sleep.
dead.
Yeah.
Might have already been dead, Bill. It was very much sleeping, if nothing else.
Bill,
There's some theory that he missed the shot, but the hog died of a heart attack. It was so
Or that someone else in the group maybe had actually fired the
Yeah,
bullet.
exactly,
that
like
took the
behind
boar
him.
out,
Oh,
right?
look at that, yeah.
Oh, look, Tony's a great shot. Oh, look, Tony got the boar.
coming up, we've been talking.
Ended story time pretty quickly.
I've got seriously. I got the guy was documenting. I got it on video. I'll show you the picture.
Yeah,
You're going to be impressed when you see the hole that I put on the side of that
Oh
thing.
gosh, now you're just
Well, I'm just saying it's true.
So it came at you sideways?
Well, yeah, he was.
That Bill. Very good. Might as well go ahead and read the sponsor read now. Go ahead, Bill. Got you on that one. Yeah. Walk off. Bill with another walk off. McKenzie hit another one.
I could just tell when I had him lined up, he was pissed. Hey, don't forget, coming up, we've been talking about the motocross event over at High Point. This thing is one of the great stops in motocross year in and year out. And once again, its annual run is coming up at the High Point event. It's in Mount Morris, Pennsylvania. We're going to be there on June 13, which is the Friday, Rev Kev's barbecue as well. Hoppy is going to be riding a bike.
Kind of like in that picture.
Kind of just like that might be Hoppy. Might be Hoppy in practice there. So tickets are on sale now, and all you got to do is go to the website for the High Point National event, and that is coming up on Father's Day weekend. So that's so. Are you a good pistol shooter?
I think so.
Oh, so you are good because
I
you're
think
humble.
so.
Humble as hell.
Yeah.
That's
that
his
means
problem.
very
He's
good.
humble. You must be really good.
Yeah, I think
So you shoot on Mondays, golf every other day of the week?
Yes. Tuesday, Wednesday. We golf Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, occasionally Sunday.
nice.
Occasionally
Good
Sunday.
gig.
How many hole-in-ones in your career?
4.
There you go.
It's good.
McKenzie.
But only one of them was a really good shot.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I've witnessed quite a few of them, believe it or not.
Right.
And some of them are, those nice that you see on TV, those nice high ones that kind of skip a couple times.
Yeah.
Some of them roll across the
Right,
ground
right.
and bounce off a tree and end up in the hole. One of mine was one of those that kind of rolled around and had no business even being on a green.
Right, just go with it.
Whatever. Put
How many times
put
did you
a one
take-
on the scorecard.
How many times have you had a shot that you got screwed off of on a
Oh,
bat?
that's true.
Exactly. Just take those back.
Yep. Yep.
Best part of your game? Driver, putter, what?
Chip and putting.
You're a chip and putter.
Yeah, I don't hit very many greens, so I have to be able to. Yeah, I can chip and putt.
How do you deal with the heat? It gets hot.
Tee off
Yeah,
early,
but
probably,
there's
don't you?
But there's no humidity. Well, you do.
Oh, here we go. Dry heat guy. Dry heat guy.
You do tee off early.
Well,
yeah.
how early? So what are you normally getting out at?
7:30.
Okay.
There you go.
You're done by 10-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's
You like it out there, right? You like it out there?
Yeah, love it.
You're in Scottsdale?
That kind of North Scottsdale. Yeah.
Okay. It's nice. Nice area.
Yep. No, it's when you read the temperatures, 120's hot. There's no
Oh,
there's
is
no
hot.
kidding.
Yes.
There's no kidding. 120.
There's a
120's
T-shirt
hot.
right there. 120's hot.
110's not bad, but 120 is hot.
You know.
But when you see the Phoenix temperature, I mean, they're talking about 4 o'clock downtown Phoenix.
Right.
I mean, that's as hot as it gets. We're probably 2,000 feet higher than Phoenix.
Right.
So if we're 10 or 12 degrees cooler where we are than what you will read,
Right.
which we'll read as a Phoenix temperature.
Hey, Bill, you know what other legendary mountaineer is out there in the greater Phoenix Metroplex is Kevin White, former quarterback Kevin White.
I think I've met him out there once.
Long-time judge, Kevin White.
Is your wife still trying to get you out of the house, or is she kind of settled in now? Is she calling anybody to try to get you work? No, she's done.
And she golfs 3 or 4 times. And
okay.
Well, fortunately, we belong to 2 different golf courses.
Okay.
So when we left the one golf course, Scottsdale National. You probably heard of that. Bob Parsons bought that thing. Anyway, we left. And the guys that I used to golf with went to Desert Mountain, which is where I go.
Sure, I've heard of that.
And the women that she golfed with went to True North. So she does her 3 or 4 days a week. I do my 3 or 4 days a week.
Right.
We never see each other.
No, that's good. You see her in the house.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you were with her on the course, might get a little bit much.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we're good.
Bill, one of the friends of the program you're probably familiar with is Steve Dunlap.
Oh yeah.
Who was on that? He was on that team.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Intercepted one, I believe, in that game.
Did he have
it
a
went
pick in that
3-yard return.
Yep.
3-yard return.
So when you talk about that
the
game,
important part is the interception.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly
when,
right.
when you talk to Dunlap about the game, like the McKenzie kick, well, it was actually an interception.
That team, there's a good nucleus of those guys that have always stayed together, which I always find kind of wild. You know, those guys. I don't think we'll ever see that nowadays with this transfer portal.
Yeah,
the one and done free agent. You don't. Are you shaking your head?
I don't.
You don't get that.
I can kind of understand them getting paid, but they ought to have to. They shouldn't be able to transfer every year. I mean, they ought to sign some kind of a contract or some kind of an agreement or something that they got to
get there.
That they got to hang around. I think they had the best intentions when they started this, but I don't think they ever saw this was going to happen.
Yeah, they missed on how to regulate it. We had kids that go into the football portal in December, went to a new school, did spring ball there, and then after spring ball put themselves back in the portal, so they never even played a game with that school. Well, yeah, it's happened all.
And probably made money on it.
Played money. Oh, sure, made money.
Well.
3 guys before the game, brought to us by Jan Dill's Attorneys at Law. When you have something that needs expertise, visit Jan Dill's Attorney at Law, specifically when it comes to military disability claims and Social Security claims. You need people to do it every single day. That's kind of what they do. For example, Bill was talking about, the specialization of steel. That's what he did. Well, Jan Dill's Attorneys at Law, they do Social Security claims and for disability and military claims. Do it with them right from the start. Don't try to do it yourself. Social Security disability claims, 88% get rejected the first time if you do it yourself, 88%. So visit Jan Dill's Attorneys at Law. I mentioned earlier, Lou Wendell Marine Sales, largest pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia. They are the Mac Daddies when it comes to pontoon boats. They sell the Avalon boats, which are manufactured right here in the United States in the state of Michigan. And right now, they're cranking. Busy season in the boating world. The selection as big as it's going to be all year long inside Lou Wendell right now. That's boats. That's the G3 series. That's the pontoons and everything else that goes with a boat. So visit Lou Wendell Marine Sales, St. Albans, LouWendellMarineSales.com.
Hurry up because the good weather's coming.
It's almost time. It's
almost here.
Hey, that 75, of course, this is all familiar to Bill, but that 75 team, it's just fun to go back and look at some of the players. Dan Kendra, quarterback on that team. Artie Owens, Brad, 159 carries for 1,055 yards back in the day.
Good yards per carry.
6.6.
Yeah.
6.6. Dwayne Woods was on that team. Steve Lewis, Scott McDonald, Tommy Bowden, Randy Swinson, who caught the pass in the Pitt game.
Greg Marshall.
Marshall, Tommy Pridemore. That was Dunlap. That was a really good team. A really good team. Did what was that? Yeah, Tony, you asked him. I mean, again, I guess as kickers you felt separated, but it had to be a pretty good vibe on that team, right?
Oh, yeah. No. That was great. Great guys. Always, kind of yucking it up, if you will. That was a good team atmosphere.
You said a couple of those names. Like, for example, I read John Antoniuk has a book that's coming out in the next couple of months on Bobby Bowden. And there's a specific chapter. You know what the chapter's called? Bill McKenzie's field goal. And I have the advanced copy. You're at page 145, in case you didn't know. Okay. And I read that this morning because I have an advanced copy. And was looking through that, and they mentioned the defensive plan they had that day from Clausing, and he widened out the defensive ends, basically everything to try to slow down Tony Dorsett. And he said the safeties, and specifically Tommy Pridemore, his one job that day was to beat the absolute heck out of Matt Cavanaugh. And every time he would come on and either hold it or not hold it, punish him and pound him. And he said that was one of the big keys in that football game. Pridemore obviously went on to play really nice NFL career.
Now, back in the day, Brad, that would not have resulted in a flag against the young man, right?
It was a different game.
It was a different time. Right?
Yeah.
How about AstroTurf?
How about the concrete they played on?
You guys, this is the same surface that he kicked off of. That was the worst.
This was Mountaineer Field with a little bit of green fuzz on top. Yeah.
Isn't that mind-blowing how bad that stuff was in the beginning?
Yeah, but that was it back then. I mean,
so you went from natural grass at Warwood with a regular.
It was closer. It was more dirt than grass.
Yeah, I get it. No, dirt, I get it. So you were kicking off of dirt without a kicking shoe.
Right.
And then you come here, and now you're on this real high-tech, brand-new stuff. They're calling it AstroTurf. Never seen before, and you're using the toe.
Yeah, and had a tee.
And the tee.
And the tee.
Yeah, we could use tees back then.
Think about that.
Yep.
Did it feel good coming off the toe? Probably did, didn't it? You remember?
Yeah, I mean, you're if you've golfed, it's kind of like hitting one in, when you hit one in the middle, you don't feel it.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
When you hit one in the middle, you don't.
And you watch the video, you see, what do you see, Brad? Kept his head down.
So you knew you got it. Left the toe, you had it.
It felt
like you had the distance
good,
too,
yeah. I wasn't looking.
Head down. Discipline. Head down.
What was your protocol before a kick? You know, guys like the soccer style guys, like they'll go back 3 over 3. Like, what was your deal?
It's funny you mentioned that. I got 2 stories there. If I got
sure,
it's
yeah.
like a telethon. We're good.
Time. One of the things with the kicking tee, and this came from Frank Nestor. Frank said, it was a little about the size of your phone, maybe not quite as high as your phone. We used a 1-inch tee. And Frank said, paint a big yellow arrow on it. Big yellow arrow. And when you get there, hold that up to the goalpost like this, and then just bring it straight down. And then you just look at the tee, the arrow, and that's where. And I told the guys that, and they said, "Yeah, Frank was blind as a bat. No wonder he did that." But anyway, that's
so you
the
put
one thing.
You put an arrow on.
No,
you didn't.
I don't know if I might have got Frank's tee. I don't remember how the arrow got on there.
So that was.
But there was an arrow on there.
There was a big arrow. Yeah.
And you did?
Oh
this?
yeah, absolutely. Held it up like that, put it straight down on the field. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you're golfing on your putting, when you line up that thing and then you don't. Yep. That's exactly what I did. That little tidbit came from Frank Nestor.
So that was analog GPS. That's what that was.
Well, it's like using another galvan.
Yeah.
That's before rangefinder,
Yeah.
right? You don't hold up for the rangefinder. You just hold the tee up there. I'm going to eyeball that thing, put it right down there.
Yep. But again, they said
For the
Frank did
rangefinder.
that because he couldn't.
He couldn't see well.
Whether that's true or not, I don't.
So his eligibility was over so he was a GA or something like that.
Yes.
He was on staff.
Yes. I think he graduated in 72. I think.
Okay, so he was still around.
I think. Yeah, he was still around. Again, got the square-toed shoe, got the little arrow thingy there that helped. Yeah, no, Frank was,
I think he could have given you more of a ringing endorsement though before the kick and said, McKenzie's got it.
Well, he didn't want if McKenzie boots it there. So
Yeah.
he didn't want to get fired. He said, I don't know.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, they said practice wasn't the night before wasn't very good.
Were you-
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I wasn't thinking about that at the time. Yeah, I don't remember.
Do you ever think and again, we're belaboring the point, but it's such a meaningful moment. Do you ever, over the years, think about what if you'd missed it?
It would be. I wouldn't be here. I know that.
That's true. I mean, it would become an afterthought.
would be a whole different world.
Yeah, it'd be an afterthought.
Yeah.
It would have been.
Just like you mentioned about the obituary, I don't really want to go there.
Did it ever come up in your work, in your professional career dealings? Did that ever come as a icebreaker in any of your conversations as you were moving so much, or no?
I don't. Well, again, when I came back to Weirton,
Yeah.
I mentioned all of those
Sure.
moves. When I came back to Weirton, obviously, everybody knew me for that. But people in Philadelphia and Hamilton, Ontario. They don't.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Plus, you really couldn't pull YouTube up in those early days either.
No, we didn't have that. They don't know.
You know, in reading the chapter in the book that John's got coming out here, there was some question of Johnny Majors, the Pitt coach, why he just didn't settle for the tie. Just run it out and get it over with and just call it a tie, see you later. And he gave the ball back to West Virginia, and that's...
He probably saw me practicing the night before.
Doesn't matter. He ain't gonna make it anyway. We'll get to.
Well, like 2 for 5. You heard him say, 2 for 5 in field goals. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So
I don't know why they didn't call a timeout.
Try to freeze you.
I don't know if it would. Well, again, I only had one other game that I remember that I made a last-second field goal. We beat Richmond one year, 9-6. I think it was like 10 or 12 seconds or something like that. Something like that left, and they did call a timeout. But I made it anyway. So whether that would have helped or not, I don't know.
Bill, do you remember? Was it chaotic the way that it happened? As I said, it was just a pass to Swinson. It's a 10-second drive. Was there chaos on the sideline? Like he catches it, he runs out of bounds. It's like kick, and you're just like go.
Oh yeah, no, we're running around like chickens with our head cut off. There, it's like, oh my God, what just happened?
So it just happens to you. Like you literally like ball out of bounds. You just run out. You don't even know what you're doing. Holder puts it down.
Yeah.
You kick it, and it's over.
Pretty much. Well, I don't want to belabor the issue here, but they still got the ball with 11 seconds to go. I mean, I'm looking around, picking up my shoe, making sure I got this stuff. I think everybody kind of was. Nobody expected that.
Some people were even thinking about leaving the game.
Yeah.
Was Swinson inbounds? Did he catch it inbounds?
I was on the other side of the field.
It was on the other side of the field.
Absolutely, it was
No
inbound.
idea.
Sure, it was. Yeah, he was in.
No question.
I didn't know there was even a question.
He didn't even know there was a question.
Okay.
50 years later, you're trying to dredge up some stuff over there.
All right. That's fine.
That may be why Jack said, I think they say, does he say holy moly? There's something like holy whatever, because probably he never thought in his mind that West Virginia was going to get an opportunity to get a kick.
Well,
I can't believe it.
I can't believe this.
I don't know what you guys do in the press box, but he was probably gathering his papers together and gathering his paper to make sure he had his glasses and stuff. I don't know.
I will tell you this, and this is true, and Hoppy knows this. He hated Pitt so bad that he would hop. Yeah. I mean, he would have to take a little something. He would take a little pill before a Pitt game just to take the edge off, so he wouldn't get so ramped up. Yeah, because that's how much he hated him. Yeah. That's true. Just a little something.
What a great guy, though.
Oh, yeah, just unbelievable.
Unbelievable announcement.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by the good folks at Tudor's Biscuit World, and right now they're in the midst of giving away $100 every week in Tudor's gift cards. All you have to do is go to their website and vote on what kind of merchandise they should be selling on their website. Just go to votetudorsmerch.com, votetudorsmerch.com, and again, put yourself in line for $100 in Tudor's gift cards. They'll be doing that for the next several weeks, and you'll have a voice in what their new swag turns out to be. Plus, Tudor, they don't have Tudor's biscuits in Arizona. We could get a franchise.
Well, franchises are available.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Franchise. You can put one right near the golf course. Those guys, they don't know what a good Tudor's biscuit is. You pull right in there before you tee off. Get yourself a Tudor's biscuit franchise opportunity. There he is. Put one of those right in Arizona. See, sunny skies, just like Arizona. No clouds. It's all right. Right.
Coffee.
Now we'd have to hydrate that grass a little bit, but other than that,
that kind of looks like the clouds we have in Arizona. They're those contrails from airplanes.
Yeah, a little
that's about the only cloud you get out there.
Just a little blue sky. Do you try to come back to watch the Mountaineers play at all? Football, you don't come in during the fall.
Again, every now and then I wouldn't. Obviously, we just have a big RV. We used to come all the time till we moved to Arizona full time. My daughter comes. My brother comes. Every game. So through the years, has your daughter given you any, hey, Dad, someone found out that I was your daughter? Have you gotten some of those? Yeah, my son too. Again, Wheeling.
Yeah.
He's in Wheeling. I'm from Wheeling. So every now and then he say, I met somebody that said they went to school with you. And
kick.
Are they doing anything this fall? Is the athletics director planning anything?
I don't know if they're. They never met. They are.
Yes.
Okay. They never miss. I was going to say they never miss a beat, so I'm sure they are.
We're supposed to have I think it's a Bowden team all the members of a Bowden team. So it's not
Awesome.
just 75. It's,
Okay.
what was he here, 72
Yeah.
to 76 or something like that.
Six seasons, I think.
Yeah, they're supposed to have a get-together. It's one of the later games. I think it's sometime in October.
You'll be here?
Oh, yeah. It's one of the later games.
we-
And then I'll be here for the Pitt game.
He's got
obviously.
to
Is that gonna?
Yeah.
I think that
Be here for the Pitt
should,
game, babe.
Yeah.
like
That's good karma.
recreate the kick. Should recreate the kick.
Well, Hoppy, it's not. I mean, that was a pretty good shot. It wasn't like 10 yards. It was a shot. It's hard to do.
Still have your
Recreate
kicking
the
shoe?
kick.
No,
No.
I do not.
That would be neat if you had that shoe. Like, you know how they do those when you're little kids? They
Bronze 'em.
bronze
Oh,
the
bronze
shoe.
'em?
Yeah. I wonder where the hell the shoe is. Probably Kirshner's probably got it.
I didn't get the ball,
He's holding out for that $200. I owe.
but I got the shoe.
Yeah, when I get that doggone $200, Mackenzie's getting his shoe back.
By the way, I looked up the. I love this stuff. On the play before the pass to Swinson was a fake draw. Fake the draw to Artie Owens.
Tucked it.
Tuck it in, pull it back out.
Pull it back out. Threw it to Swinson.
Yeah.
Got out of bounds.
Well, John Antoni.
Play action there.
Well,
And I think, according to, I believe that was a play made up as you go.
Oh, really?
I don't think that
you're
was
right.
a called game.
Oh, really?
Called play.
that's in the book. That's in the
That's
chapter.
a heck of a time to
He
improvise.
basically he said no one except the quarterback and the receiver. He was running a specific route all game, and so they were biting in on it. And so he said, "Okay, pretend you're going to do that, and then cut." And that's what took them to the sideline.
Is that right?
So they were the only ones that knew.
That took some
Oh yeah,
gumption to make that call on your own.
yeah. I mean, what you got to do that. So what have we accomplished here today? It's a good thing Rocky Gianola broke his leg, right? It's a good thing Bernie Kirshner was on double secret probation so he could catch the ball, right? All of these things are true. It's good.
If I can, I had everybody sign that ball back then. You cannot read any name. You cannot read any name on it. And what amazes me is they show pictures of a Babe Ruth baseball. Now, how in the world can you still see Babe Ruth's signature on a ball when you can't see not a one on that football?
Probably because it's some guy in New Jersey, like in 1999, that wrote
Had a Sharpie?
Just went over
Yeah,
that.
again, that was before, it was all ballpoint pen, but that amazes me.
Old school.
I got to tell you, Tony, we've been doing this for a long time and all these shows, and it is a great joy for me, 50 years later, to be with this guy.
This is why we did it.
It's really,
Exactly.
it's really enjoy it.
That's what the summer series is all about, man. We can't thank you enough for your time.
Oh, hey, great. Thanks for
Again,
having me.
You're in our ears every single night when we start our show with that call from Jack. It's iconic. It's a piece of West Virginia history, and it's absolutely fantastic. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
There he is, the guy, Bill McKenzie, on Three Guys Before the Game. We're out. Thanks so much for being with us. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by, well, the fine folks at Jan Dill's Attorneys at Law. They won't take no for an answer. By Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years, and hydrated. Three Guys brought to us by GoMart. Get that GoMart Rewards card. Download their app. Go to the App Store or just go to gomart.com for the details. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's Biscuit. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. That'll do it for us. For Hoppy, Brad, our special guest, Bill McKenzie, and our producer, Mr. Jake. We're out. Three Guys Before the Game, episode number 639 in the books. We'll see you.